A niche within a niche. Hi everyone, this is Jim with Bones Dent Repair. Behind me, as you'll notice, there's a motorcycle tank. This is a Kawasaki RS650, really cool retro standard bike. I'm a fan of motorcycles. I've been riding since I was 18 and love them since I was a little kid. But anyways, I want to talk to you about paintless dent repair and how it applies to motorcycles. And that first statement of it being a niche within a niche is to further understand that paintless dent repair is an art, and we repair dents on vehicles without harming the paint, and that in itself is a niche in the automotive industry. Now, motorcycle is a segment in PDR that's even slimmer. You're going to find much less people capable or willing to do these style of repairs. And the first reason why is it's challenging, very time consuming, and it requires a ton of problem solving. And fixing the dent in this motorcycle tank is going to be just that today. So I thought I'd really show you a bit more of what goes on with my repairs. So without any more talking, let's check this thing out. So this tank has already been removed by my customer. They chose to do the disassembly themselves. Here you'll see it's got a really nice deep dent, about 4 inches in length, but pretty dominant lows and quite tight, even underneath this emblem, up into that pinstripe area. Now, I mentioned difficulties and challenges. Traditionally, we repair dents with metal rods from the backside, and you know, the gas entry, the fuel filler neck area, is usually a point in which we can insert a tool and push out a dent. But unfortunately, you'll see this little collar area and small opening, and then the backbone of the tank right there. That's not an option. Now, glue pulling is an option even with these really fancy paint jobs, but this stripe is a pinstripe with clear coat over it. So the adhesive of this pinstripe is very weak. So I may be able to use some glue in this area, but it's fragile and it might fail. So I discussed some of the challenges we'd be up against, and I said, hey, I can't fully judge this until it's off, because this is the second point of entry. Now, it's quite large, and it does get me down towards there, but you'll see these two nipples right here. These are the fuel senders. I'm trying to remember off memory, but anyways, these are where the fuel lines connect, and there's metal tubes on the inside. And if you'll bear with me, maybe I'll flip it over. I'll try and show you this way, as long as we don't get any glare. There you go, you can see them right there a little bit. Okay, but I'm bringing that up because those metal tubes run down inside and right where that dent is. So that's going to be something that I have to be mindful of if I insert a tool from there all the way to over here. It's a really far reach and a sloping bend, and there's those fragile metal tubes on the inner structure that I have to be mindful of. I can't bend those. That would be impossible to fix if they got damaged. But even still, I think we can have some success. These are a bit of an experimental repair. Let me flip this camera around. About to use the word experimental. I say that because there is going to be some risks. I'm going to have to glue pull. I just mentioned that fragile pinstripe in that area and paint itself. It's always a risk. You can pull the paint off. Second, I might not be able to generate enough force with a metal rod to push this out. It requires a tremendous amount of pressure with the perfect tool to push it out and do it cleanly to where we're not making an uneven and bumpy surface and or cracking the paint. So this is just my starting thought process on what I have to do. You'll notice I'm out front of my house. I'm actually being worked on, so my back shop where I usually do my motorcycle repairs is kind of tied up, but no big deal. I brought my stand, which I'm going to use, and I'm going to further explain right now on how I'm going to do this out front of my house. So a quick explanation on how I'm actually going to fix this. I'm going to be using this wooden stand. The way I like to fix these is with this wooden stand on purpose. That allows me to cut blocks of woods, create support or angles, and kind of customize it in a quick fashion So I'm going to use the front mounting points right here. This is a bracket, it comes on the bike itself. This is how it mounts to the bike, but I'm going to reuse it, protecting this with some tape. I'm going to lock that down with some bolts onto the wood, and then I'm actually going to tip this forward, and then you'll see these side grommets right here and right here. So I'm going to use some wood. I'm going to cut a center T section, basically make a big support panel, so that way this is lifted up, that way I have a nice angle down for my repair. So I'm going to go ahead and cut to me fixing this onto the stand. Okay, so the first phase of mounting this tank is all complete. Got it secured here. I went ahead and taped off that. I'm using some flat washers. You can see, just cut some simple 2x4s and secured it. I ditched my first idea. That was scrap wood and just made some fresh cuts. And now I'll have a good point of entry and a good angle for repair. Hopefully just to finish this off. This used to be mounted into the ground. Unfortunately, the shop is full, like I said, so I'm gonna go ahead and secure it with some weights is my plan. Okay, so now we're set up and ready to work. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off by polishing out the surface scratches. You can see some of it to get proper adhesion, because I do want a glue pull at least to start. I'm not gonna be very aggressive with it, but I need to move some of this metal. And I'm experimenting with my plastic guard. I usually cut up these cutting board, flexible sheets of plastic to guard entryways for tools. So I plan on trying to use some of this. I'm gonna trim it down and make it manageable when I go to bend and insert a tool. Let's take a close-up look at this dent under the light. Now I'm going to show you the scarring into the clear coat. You can see those faint scratches starting to appear. If they catch with your fingernail, that means they're broken through the clear. So those are going to be very sensitive. You can see the raised edge of the pinstripe. Alright, really bad damage. Here's a close-up look at some of the tools and what I use. These are the hammers of choice that I like. This one in particular. This is my everyday hammer that I use the most, finishing details off with a knockdown and what we use to tap the painted surface. And right now, in between these glue pulls, it does have some tension that needs to be relieved, so I'm going to do some hammer work right now. I've got the dent about as far as I want to go with glue. I'm already holding the metal rod. I think I've chose, and I just did some test pushes. It did reach the effective area, but then I had to bend it. As you can see right there, I stuck it in the truck hitch and bent this rod. These are not one-time use, as you can imagine. I don't really like to alter the tools, but in this scenario, you have to get creative and make things work because of the strange shape of tanks. So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing some pushing on my repair. Close up here, and what I've done, I took that plastic guard and I hot glued it down. It's already starting to break loose as I work the repair, but this is shielding the metal in the entry point for this metal rod. You can see this big stiff 1/2-inch diameter rod. I tried a few different tools. I'm able to successfully get this there with a bigger blunt tip. That's gonna help me move this repair nice and clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you some of the pushing. And here you can see, we're gonna give you a sneak peek of how it looks right now. It's pretty uniform, but it's a little uneven still. There's some low spots, even hard. There's a little bit of unevenness. So I'm gonna try to flatten this out to the point where we can polish out those scratches and complete the job. Now, as I first enter, I'm being really mindful of where those fuel tubes are, like I mentioned, and this is really tough to work. It's very far away, so getting enough leverage to it has been really hard. Let me find this tip. Okay, now I'm down there. So I don't get a direct push. I've kind of got to twist and hold. I'm using my left arm as a leverage point to not put pressure on that opening. I'm trying to use my hand to help absorb some of that. It's really stiff, thick gauge steel. And my goal with this tool was to level it out and get the metal bulked out. It's too blunt of a tip to finish with. But now I'm almost to the point where I can go ahead and do some hammering. Which I'd say I'm right about now. Hard-faced hammer. This has some residue on it. Lucky enough to have help with the camera today. So one thing to mention, it would be perfect scenario to remove this emblem, but my client very kindly asked if there's any chance I can fix this with it on and still get to about the same result. Then better to just leave it on. Although I do want it out of the way, I've gotten so close. I'm gonna finish it with it on. A little bit of pressure down there, but it should be okay. Change my body position just so I see this one little angle. See, there's pressure hidden. Okay, so I'm wrapping up today's repair on this Kawasaki tank. This is going to be a long edited video, and I hope it comes out fantastic for you guys to get some insight on what we do for paintless dent repair, how it applies to motorcycles, and overall results and how things truly look when finished. Turn the camera around and give you a look at this before it's even polished. Okay, we're going to walk up and take a nice look at this finished repair. There we go. Move my light. Check it out from this angle. There you go. Beautiful. Really think overall this came out fantastic. Not perfect. Nothing in the world is. But definitely great. If you didn't know about it, you'd walk right past this bike. I think the scars are gonna polish up real nice and that clear, be hardly even visible. So thank you for checking this out. Just to show off this beautiful green paint, look at this. It's gorgeous. Really wanted to show this one